Well, good afternoon. My name is Nancy, and I am the Lien Search Team Lead at Network Transaction Solutions. And I'm just going to go over the municipal lien search, what it is, and how recent contract changes have affected it. So basically, your lien search is going to look for all unrecorded municipal liens. So the difference between your lien search and your title search is your title search is going to report recorded liens, whereas your lien search is unrecorded. So this can include utilities, special assessments, open code cases, and open and expired code violations. And all those items are included in your full search. So if you look at the next slide, in 2017, there was recent contract changes, meaning the code and permit verbiage was removed from the contract. So now you have the option of doing a full search, which includes utilities, code, permit, special assessments, or you have the option of doing a light search or a utility search. So your utility search is only going to include just the utility portion and any special assessments. So my advice to you for your buyers would be always try to encourage a full search. You definitely want to get and find everything you can for that property. So, do we have any questions so far? No.
None at this point, and I'll make sure as they kind of come through, I'll make sure to kind of jump in and be able to ask those too. So, and again, Andrea and Jim, if you have any, as we kind of go through the specific slides, just chime in.
Nancy, do you mind if I elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the lien search was first added to the contract in 2013. It was not defined. So as an industry, we defined it ourselves. We defined it as a search of utilities, open building permits, and unrecorded code violations. In 2017, what they did is they added a definition of lien search. And the definition of lien search is a search that will allow the owner's policy of title insurance to be issued without exception for liens provided by Florida statutes 159 and 170. So when I first read the change, I didn't know what that meant. And so I got the statute books and I started reading those statutes and reading those statutes and reading those statutes, and I couldn't figure it out. After about a week, it dawned on me that open building permits and unrecorded code violations are not included in that definition. So the contract doesn't say we're only searching utilities and special assessments. It says we're going to search for what's provided for in those two statutes. And those two items are not provided for in those statutes. So we can't search them even if we want to give that information to the buyer unless they ask for it. And we were troubled by the change because it seemed rather consumer unfriendly to us. So what we decided to do is we send one email to the buyer's agent. And that email says if the buyer would like a search of unrecorded code violations and open permits, we'll provide the same for no additional fee, but the buyer will have to pay the hard cost. In Hillsborough County and in Pinellas County, there's no additional hard cost. Not a whole lot of buyer's agents respond to that email. So in fact, I've had agents call me and say, we didn't search those things, and their buyer now has a $5,000 code lien, and they never responded to that email, so we didn't search them. Anyway, it's just a little background history on how that change occurred.
Thanks, Jim. And it looks like we have a couple of questions that came in throughout as you were talking. So first one, and I think this related back to what Nancy was, does that mean a change was made via the title company? And Jim, I think you just answered that as the within the contract. If that did not answer your question, it looks like Andrea let us know. As the buyer's agent, who are we requesting to do this search? The title company? And that answer is yes.
Actually,
unless
Chris,
if,
that
Jim
answer is
or Nancy-
no.
Okay, okay.
Because a lot of title companies understand that there are two different companies. There's a title company and then there's a lien search company. And a lot of title companies don't do lien searches and they won't order the lien search for you. So if you're using one of our title companies, we're going to do the search, and then if you want the expanded search, you can ask the title company. But if you're not using our title company, your first question needs to be, does the title company we're using order a lien search? And if they don't, because a lot of them won't, they're different companies. And there are standalone companies that do nothing but municipal lien searches. So if the title company is not going to order it, you need to make sure that the listing agent is aware of that, and you can call NTS and they'll provide a lien search.
Love
I'm
the
sorry.
answer. So if you use us, yes, you can ask the title company. If you don't, you have to check with that specific title company to see if they have a company that they utilize to do the lien searches. So thanks, Jim, for the clarification
Yep.
on that. And then the other one, and Nancy, if you talk about this at the tail end, just let me know, because I forgot what slide you had. It did indicate, can you touch on cost for the individual search elements, if any, just to get a perspective. So if you kind of have, a slide on it already, we can wait till that comes, unless if you just want to touch on that now. So
I can touch on it now. We don't have a specific slide for the cost. So we do searches for all counties in Florida. So every county, every city charges something different. Some don't charge anything at all. And that's always something that you can relay back to us and ask us, is the code and permit going to be extra or is it going to be free? So we can always answer those questions. Like I said, everyone's different and everyone charges a different amount. But for the most part, there are charges for just utilities, just code, just permit, and then some of them it's free for all of it. So just let us know and we can always give you a quote of what it's going to be.
perfect. And I'm guessing the quote, if you know the county or the city, you can get a fairly, almost down to the dollar quote for them.
Yes.
Prior to ordering. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, let's jump to the next slide.
So utility searches. Your utility search can include active accounts, past accounts, delinquent accounts, anything that's on that property. And because we do the whole state of Florida, each utility company is different and there's so many. They all have their own rules and ways of how they go about collecting their money. Some of these accounts will just go into collections and they don't stay with the property. However, you do have certain companies where it will stay with that property, and if you have your buyer now trying to turn on the water, they might get hit with, well, this past account hasn't been paid, so you now need to pay it before we turn on your water. So those are all things that we will report on our lien search. And then you have certain companies who reserve the right to lien. And this is where it gets tricky because they don't necessarily tell us at what point they're going to lien the property for these unpaid accounts. So then we also have owner accounts and tenant accounts. So I just want to touch on this because tenant accounts, you'll have certain companies who will not report on tenant accounts. So if the owner is not listed as the account holder, they won't give us any information other than they service the property. The reason being is some utility companies do not lien on tenant-only accounts. They only lien on owner accounts. So if you're ever unsure if the property you're selling is in one of these companies where they do reserve the right to lien, or if it will follow the property, you can always let us know and we will tell you. Like I said, some of these just go into collections, or some of these, they just remain delinquent and the company's not going to come after you trying to get these paid. What I will say about tenant accounts is there is a gray area. So you'll have a company like City of Oviedo, which is on the next slide. And City of Oviedo, even if it's a tenant account, they can still hold the owner responsible for any unpaid amounts for water or sewer left unpaid. So just because you may have a property and you know that there's a tenant on it, be aware that certain companies can still hold the owner responsible for those bills. So like I said, if you're ever unsure if this account is going to follow the property or follow the account holder, let us know and we can provide that information to you.